Hello, I'm Roy Benitez and welcome to our Reading and Social Studies ninth grade class. We will now begin our PowerPoint lesson. Today we will integrate social studies into our reading class. First of all, vocabulary instruction on the judicial system will be the primary focus today. This will help you expand your vocabulary. You can apply your new word skills to comprehend the text monster, which we will begin reading these 9 weeks. How do we learn? We will use a KW chart to activate your background knowledge. We will use vocabulary cards. We will partner up and sit within your group as you are now and work together cooperatively. You have all been given colored Sharpies and sticky notes. Monster is also provided to each group, as you can see on your table. These are the vocabulary words we're going to go over. Testimony, probation, felony, parole, tort, warrant, indictment, arraignment, plaintiff, deposition, accomplice, verdict. Each group will be given a vocabulary card with the words on them. Alright class, please open your monster novels to page 27. I will be reading an excerpt from the page. You are to identify 2 words in the text as I read. I will ask for participation, so please listen carefully. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Asa Briggs, and I will be defending Mr. Keene. Ms. Shelley, representing the state, has presented this case in very broad and grandiose terms. But you will soon see that her key witnesses are among the most self-serving, heartless people imaginable. Some of them will begin their testimony by swearing that they are criminals. You will have the unpleasant task of listening to people who have committed crimes, who have lied and stolen, and in at least one instance has been admitted, and let me emphasize this, an admitted accomplice to murder. Alright, so I'm going to ask for volunteers. Please raise your hand. Okay, PK?
Testimony?
Yes, that's one of the words, thank you. And there's one more. Yes, Stefan?
Accomplice.
Very good. So, testimony and accomplice are the 2 words on this page. Please take out a sticky note, different colored sticky notes, and place them on this page. One color for testimony and another color for accomplice. Do that right now and within your groups. Now, we're going to be using the vocabulary cards, okay? And again, these are the words. They're up on the screen. Okay? But you have them in your groups. Now, I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay? We'll test your prior knowledge, your background knowledge. Some of these words are familiar, some of them you've never heard. Okay, so out of all these words, the 12 words, which of these do you think you know? Which of them have you already met? Any volunteers? PK?
Felony?
Felony. Raise your hand, and that's a familiar word to everybody. Okay, so that's one of the words that we'll start off as an example because you know that word already. Okay, for the most part. Number 2, which of these words look completely unfamiliar? Which of these words you've never heard of? Let me see. Ask for volunteer. Charlie.
Indictment.
Okay, raise your hand if indictment is a word that you guys don't really know. Everybody? Okay, so that's one of the words that we're going to work on then. And let's see. 2 words that go together. I'm going to do this one for you. Parole, okay, and probation. These are 2 words that go together, and we're going to examine those closely. And last question, which words would you and your group predict to be the most important? Just gather your thoughts in your group. Don't raise your hand yet. I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. Which of all these words do you think is the most important? Okay? Bobby?
Testimony,
Testimony? Yes. I would say that's one of the most important words here. Okay? And we'll go over it in a few minutes. What we're going to do now to further gauge your prior knowledge on these words, we're going to use a KWL chart. Okay? We're going to decide what I already know about a word, what I want to know, and what I have learned. We're going to do what I have learned at the end. The L section we'll do at the very end. So, what I need you to do is, in your groups, draw this chart, as you see, on your paper, so we can begin. And we're going to use the word felony to start, because that's the word that most of you are familiar with. Alright, so we decided to use felony as our first example on the KWL chart. So, on your chart in your paper, under K, you're going to write the word felony. Okay? And I'll go ahead and zoom it in so you can see. Next, under W, what do I want to know about the word? You're going to type here, or on your paper you're going to write what you want to learn about the word felony. So maybe you can say something like, well, let me see. Richard, can I have an example? What's something you want to know about the word felony? And I'll write it. I'll type it here for you.
do you go to jail?
Okay. Does one go to jail if they commit a felony? Let me zoom it in. Okay, this will be a great question to ask. And the answer would be Bob?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, we're going to leave the L part for the end of the lesson. Okay, this will be part of your assessment, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Before we move on to the next part of the lesson, can somebody tell me where I made a mistake? Charles?
Isn't that a question?
Right, I put a period instead of a question. Thank you for pointing that out. And I'll go ahead and place it. And here you go. Alright guys. Everybody has been given vocabulary cards with the words pre-written on them on the front of the card. Okay, we're going to go over now what you're supposed to be doing on the back of the card, okay? So we said we were going to use the first example of felony, because this is a word that most of you recognize. Okay, now, on the back of the card, you're going to use the colored Sharpies that I've given you, okay? And you're going to write the different parts that we're going to examine of the word. Okay, so first, we're going to examine the history of the word. I'm going to set you up. All of you have been given iPads, so you're going to be able to go to the website that I'm going to put up on the projection, and you're going to be able to look up the history of the words. Okay? Now, the next thing is, what is the meaning of the word? Basically, you're going to tell me the definition. And for that, you're going to go to another website that I'll be telling you about. What are the parts of speech? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb? Okay, we're also going to examine what is another word that has the same meaning? In other words, a synonym. We're also going to look for a word that's an antonym or opposite of the word, felony. And then you're going to go ahead and write your own sentence with the word. Okay? So that's what we're going to move on to now. Alright class, I have listed on the screen the two sites that you need to go into. The first one on top is to look for the history of the word. The bottom online site will help you research the word even further. Okay? So go ahead and do that. And I'm going to give you a few minutes to gather your thoughts and to work in your groups. Alright, I've given you a few minutes to complete the first card, felony, within your groups. Now I'm going to ask for a volunteer. Okay, I'm going to ask a volunteer from the B group to read what you have written on your card. So let's see, Charles, can you please stand up and you tell me and I'll go ahead and type it. Okay, so on the front of the card you wrote felony. Now on the back, what is the history of the word? Let me go ahead and put this so I can write it. What's the history of the word? Where does it come from?
It's felony. It's an old French word.
Okay, so
And
it
it's
comes
spelled
from
F-E-L-O-N-I-E.
Okay, let me write that down. So you said it's, spell it again?
F-E-L-O-N-I-E.
Right, so felony. Alright, very good. Now, can you tell me what the meaning of the word is according to what you research?
A serious crime punished by the courts.
Okay, a serious crime punished by the courts. An example? Did you write any examples? What would be an example of a serious crime? Edward?
You steal a car?
Right, so burglary. What about murder? Would that be a felony?
Yeah.
Okay. So those are serious crimes. Now, what is a part of speech? Go ahead.
Noun.
It's a noun, very good. Is there a synonym for it?
I have violation.
Violation is a great synonym, very good. What about a word that's the opposite, an antonym?
Kindness.
Kindness. Okay, someone who is full of kindness probably wouldn't commit a crime, okay, or a felony. And can you give me a sentence with the word felony?
My friend was convicted of a felony.
My friend was convicted
of a felony.
Convicted of a felony. Very good. Okay? So this is how an example on how you do. Let me zoom in. A slide, okay? So we have the word part, the history, the meaning, synonym and antonym, and a sentence. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing for all the other cards. Okay, but before you do that, we're going to focus on two words: testimony and indictment. Those are the two that we talked about at the beginning. So go ahead and work on testimony and indictment, and I'm going to have you come up here and type it yourself. So go ahead, I'm going to give you a little extra time to do that. Alright, now, we're going to work on the word testimony. Group F has been kind of silent, so I'm going to ask Julius to please come up, stand in front of the laptop, and you're going to bring your card, obviously, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to type what you have in your card. So, the front of the card, we already have testimony. Now go ahead and press escape so we can begin typing. Alright, go ahead and tell us what your group came up for the history of the word.
It's Old French.
Okay, so the word comes from Old French, just like felony did. Okay, so that's how do you pronounce that in Old French? I know we're not French, but
Testimony.
testimony. Okay, so as you can see, it's very similar in pronunciation. Now go ahead and tell me the definition or the meaning of the word.
The statement or declaration of witness under oath
Okay, the statement or declaration of witness under oath.
in court.
Very good. In court. Okay, so this is probably why you guys said this was one of the most important words, if not the most important, because without testimony, you don't have anything. So, what is a part of speech?
It's a noun.
Okay, it's a noun, and can you give me a synonym?
Deposition.
Okay, deposition, very good. Now, deposition, isn't that one of our other words? So, when I asked you earlier, what are two words that are similar? We said parole and probation, which we'll go over in a little bit. But deposition and testimony are two words that go hand in hand. Okay? What is an antonym?
No. A guess.
A guess. Very good. So instead of giving an actual fact, your testimony of what happened, you're just guessing. And can I have a sentence with the word testimony?
My mother had to give testimony against the burglar.
Very good. You can write that. My mother had to give testimony against the burglar. Okay? So we've completed 2 vocabulary cards, felony and testimony. And you guys and girls all work together on the next one, which we're also going to do. Please go ahead and zoom it in for me. Go ahead and click on from current slide, and there you go. Excellent.